Well, guys, the transfer window is heating up, and today we are going to be discussing some of the biggest free transfers that have gone through over the last few days. Of course, a lot of those free signings aren't actually joining their new club until the beginning of next month, July the 1st. Most football contracts go to the end of June, and that is when players become free agents and can move to a new club. Now, before we get into these free signings, I think we should dispel some rumours a little bit, because I think free signings are seen as kind of free hits, super cheap. You get unbelievable players for nothing, when in reality, that isn't the case. Yes, it's a lot cheaper in the long run to sign free agents, to sign players that do not have a current contract at a club. And remember, if a player has a contract with another club, you then have to make an agreement with the club to relieve them of that contract. Sometimes it's paying their contract out, or it's a big transfer fee, or whatever the case may be. But when they're a free agent, they're free to talk to anyone. And all you have to do is ask them to sign a contract with your club. But it isn't that simple, really. And we're going to talk about it with one of the biggest free signings we've ever seen, if not the biggest. And that's, of course, Lionel Messi. We'll talk about it in a moment. But you have to remember, when you approach a free agent, let's use Messi for this example. Basically, though, you're not just saying, hey, come and play with us, and it's done. They don't just come and sign the contract and it's done. There are a lot of hidden costs that people don't know about. If you sign a free agent, you often pay a lot of money up front as a signing on fee, and also agent fees are ridiculous. If an agent is not able to get any money from a transfer fee, they like to get a sign-on fee, a nice percentage of a sign-on fee maybe instead. So for a player like Messi, who, as we know, and I can go ahead and show you here, he is, of course, going to Inter Miami. It's a free signing, right? Oh, they've got Lionel Messi for free. No, no, no. We are talking hundreds of millions off the book, if that makes sense. I've heard rumours that basically Lionel Messi has been offered... he's going to have some control or some stake in the club when he finishes. So he's going to be a part owner of Inter Miami. He is also getting a similar type of thing with Adidas. He's going to be getting a large portion of the profits from any shirts with his name on the back. That's somewhat unheard of. Adidas are giving him a chunk of cash in the long run. I think Adidas obviously are really, really interested in keeping Messi as one of their star players, but also Inter Miami use Adidas for their kits. And there are some other incredible amounts of money involved in his contract, his image rights, and things like that. So please, don't just think this is Messi for free. In the long run, this is one of the most expensive signings of all time, because of the money that he's going to be earning, that Adidas are paying him. That I think there's some sort of I don't know what the word is, but he's getting something from Apple as well, I believe, which it's crazy, isn't it? So what we're seeing here is Lionel Messi choosing to join Inter Miami despite the offer from Saudi, which was 400 million or something stupid like that, $400 million. I think up front that was more money, but Messi, he's smart. Okay, not only is he, I would like to say the MLS is in a better shape than the Saudi League. I think it probably is. It's definitely more popular, especially over here in Europe. We don't watch the Saudi League, but we do kind of see the MLS quite often. So he's staying in the limelight a little bit more. He gets to live in a country that I'm sure he would love to live in. And the fact that he's going to be in Miami is obviously really nice. That's a lovely place to live if you've got millions to spend, I'm sure. But he's going for the longevity. He's going to make more money over the 5 years that he's playing, and then maybe a stakeholder or whatever, maybe 10 years we're talking. He's probably going to play for 2 seasons, right? But as soon as he steps away, he's got that piece of the club, right? He's going to earn more doing that than he ever would taking a huge salary in the Saudi League. So fair play to Messi. It's a huge example of a free signing that basically sounds easy, right? But the money involved is astonishing. Fair play to Leo Messi. Now, we're going to stay on the topic of free agents. As I said, this video is all about free agents. We have Lima going to Bayern. This was a deal that was agreed a couple of months ago, I believe, and it kind of stinks. I'm sick of reporting on Bayern getting the best players from the Bundesliga, and it's always the same, isn't it? They go on to win the title, although it was very close. Unfortunately, Dortmund did bottle it. They're not the only team that bottled it. It's obviously a huge signing for Bayern to get someone like Lima, so versatile. He's very good at playing right back as well as his usual DM number 8 role. He's going to be great for Bayern, and I truly believe this is one of the better free signings this window. But again, remember, there's going to be a lot of money involved in his contract. I think typically the contract is a little bit higher if they sign as a free agent because the player knows the club is getting an absolute steal, not having to pay a transfer fee. A year ago, this would have been 30, 40 million euros for Bayern. Instead, they're paying nothing to a rival club. Did I say Dortmund earlier? I meant RB Leipzig. Either way, they do sign a lot of Dortmund, RB Leipzig players. I think Lima and his agent would have said, look, give us more because we're saving you so much. And of course, it's going to be a great signing, but a lot of money that isn't talked about. But it's still cheaper to get a player like him for free than a player like him for 40, 50, even 60 million 2 seasons ago when he had a longer contract. Up next, we have a Premier League free signing. This is Lerma. And this is a big one as well because I think Lerma is one of the most integral parts of that Bournemouth side that stayed up last season and has been playing good football for them for the last few seasons. He's probably one of their better players, or was one of their better players. And he has gone to Crystal Palace on a free signing. Really good signing for them. Lokonga was at Crystal Palace last season on loan. For half the season, and he slotted in nicely into that midfield. And I think that's exactly what Lerma's going to do. I think, if anything, it's a Sambi Lokonga type deal for them. Just a midfielder that's going to sit in there, break up the play, and get a pass forward. Really, really solid player. Very experienced. He's played in multiple leagues. And I think that the fact that he's been dragged through multiple relegation fights and scraps with Bournemouth, he's going to go to Crystal Palace, which, look, let's be fair. Crystal Palace are never, ever in a million years going to be like a top 8, top 6 team next season. Very, very unlikely, but of course there's still time in the window. They're more likely going to be going towards the other end of the table. I think they're a good, solid mid-table team on a good day, right? They should be getting 10th, 11th, 12th, maybe slightly higher with some more signings. But the fact that they bring in a player that can deal with that if they are down the other end, you know, they were last season until Hodgson came in. It's a good signing. It's a very, very good signing. And I don't think it would have been too expensive because I don't think he would have been on very high wages at Bournemouth. So they probably gave him a little bit more. A nice little sign-on fee, maybe a box of champagne, and that was that. Up next, we have another huge deal. I was actually a little bit sad when I saw this. So Tielemans, he has signed for Aston Villa. Rewind 6-7 years ago when he was the golden gem, the diamond in career mode, and everyone thought he would end up playing for the biggest club. And I remember very specifically when he signed for Leicester from Monaco, I thought that's going to be the leap. He's going to go to Leicester. He's going to kill it in the Premier League, and he'll get picked up by a City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever. Now, I'm not saying that Villa isn't a step up because I think it is. Leicester have just been relegated, but over the last few years, Leicester have been a better team than Aston Villa. With Leicester going down and Aston Villa flying up right now with Unai Emery and some of the other players they've brought in, it's a really good move for him. I don't think he is good enough to play for a top 4 team 38 games throughout the season. I think, you know, Arteta, I remember reading a report when he was linked with Arsenal that he didn't rate his physicality. He's a little bit slow, he's a little bit cumbersome, but there's no doubt he's a quality player. He's a top 6, top 8 player. I really do believe that. So the question is he going to go to Aston Villa, absolutely kill it there, and then finally reach that full potential because he can become a top 4 player? I really do believe that. But when you really think about it, he doesn't get in the City team. He doesn't... Well, he might have got into the United team last season, but I don't think he will if Mason Mount joins. And, actually, hang on. Maybe he would get into the United setup. I don't think he would start for Arsenal. I don't think he would start for Liverpool. Oh, maybe I'm wrong here. It's a little bit disappointing for me because he's part of that golden generation of those young players just 5, 6, 7 years ago. God, I feel so old. I really thought they were going to take it and be one of the best European players, but it hasn't worked out for Tielemans just yet. He's only 26, though. He's still got a few years left. He's just going into his prime, really. Let's see what happens. Up next, we've got Aouar. Now, this is... Again, a little bit of a weird one for this. Another player that was linked with Arsenal heavily just a few years ago. And now he's going to Roma on a free. This guy was being linked with a 30, 40, 50 million pound transfer. Liverpool, I think, were interested as well at one point. I'm not saying Aouar's a bad player. I think I've heard some reports that he's got a bit of an attitude and maybe a few clubs have stayed away from him because of that. What a signing for Roma, though. I think he's going to be a very, very good player. Is he a number 8? Is he, a bit more of an attacking midfielder than a defensive midfielder? What kind of role is he going to play at Roma? I don't know, but it's an incredible free signing. And I think under Mourinho, he could be very, very good. But I am surprised. I always thought he'd end up coming to the Premier League. And I really wanted him at Arsenal. I really did. Just, 2 seasons ago, I remember signing him in my career mode. Absolute baller. But the last season, specifically, hasn't been great for him. Up next, we have Dahoud. This is the Caicedo-McAllister replacement, although they've signed Milner as well. I haven't included Milner in this video. I said in my head that I just mention it here. But Dahoud coming in from Dortmund. I think he's 29, I want to say. 28, 29, maybe almost 30, actually. It's difficult to remember all of the player ages, but... really good, experienced midfielder. And I'm telling you, okay, technically wise, he's very, very strong with the ball at his feet. He's a great passer. I'm a big fan of his. And I think with McAllister leaving, I think maybe this is more of a direct replacement for him. And maybe Milner's more of a Caicedo type. I think Milner's going to end up playing centrally at Brighton, although he is pretty good on the wing and right back sometimes. But Dahoud is a really, really good signing. He's played in the Champions League. He's played for Dortmund for many seasons now at a very high level. And I think Brighton are really going to get the best out of him. And De Zerbi clearly really wanted him. It's a good decision from Dahoud. What you've got to remember with these players that are coming to maybe the last big move in their career, if they suddenly find themselves as a free agent, they get a lot of clubs. A lot. And I'm pretty confident that Dahoud would have got some offers from quote-unquote bigger clubs, but I think he's seen an opportunity at Brighton, a club that are on the up. They have one of the best coaches in Europe. They're playing great football. He suits them. He just suits Brighton. I'm fairly confident that he will be an absolute hit there. And then the last one we're going to talk about, Keita. Once a 70 million euro signing for Liverpool, or just under 70 million. Absolutely insane. This is a mind-blowing flop. Naby Keita, when he was at RB Leipzig, he looked incredible. And I don't blame Liverpool for forking up the cash. Clearly, I think we all would have agreed he looked like a very good player. It was expensive. It was paying over the odds. But he was a player in a lot of clubs' wish lists, shall we say. And Liverpool got him. They might have overpaid. Well, they clearly overpaid because he hasn't turned out to be a 70-odd million player. But the fact that he's going on a free just, 4 seasons later? Is it 4 seasons he's been there? Oh, it's a rough one for Liverpool. It really is. And he's gone to Werder Bremen. And nothing against Werder Bremen, but I feel like Naby Keita could have done a little bit better there. There's still a player in there. He was playing for arguably, the second, you could argue in some seasons, the best team in England. Overall, though, Liverpool are comfortably the second best team in England over the last few seasons, chasing City down. He was playing for a very good side that had a very good midfield. He wasn't able to make it work. Why couldn't he do... I mean, honestly, Brighton, maybe he was on their list and maybe he said no. Who knows? Maybe he wanted to leave England. Maybe he doesn't like it. But he's gone to Werder Bremen. He's gone back to the Bundesliga. I actually thought he'd end up going back to RB Leipzig, if anything. But Werder Bremen have got themselves potentially a very good player in Naby Keita, with more experience now that he's played and won pretty much everything at Liverpool. So that's it. Free signings done. and a little chat about how it works behind the scenes. Of course, I'm no expert. I just know that a lot of people presume that free agents are kind of like in career mode. You just sign a player for free and you pay their wage. It really isn't like that in real world football. It's really quite complicated. There's a lot of sign-on fees, appearance fees. There's a lot of other things outside of contracts that the player gets wage-wise. The Inter Miami deal for Lionel Messi. It's one of the most complicated, but one of the most expensive deals of all time. There's just no transfer fee, but the money they're going to be paying in business shares and whatever, it's unbelievable. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I will be back for some more transfer news soon.